by Xaveir. We're here at SOE Live on day 2, and we can't be more excited about what's going on right now. There are some exciting announcements from all the keynotes today. If you missed our video from yesterday when we did our day 1 recap, we had some H1Z1 footage, some actual gameplay, and a lot of information regarding H1Z1. I seriously suggest you check that out. I'll leave an annotation here for you for that. We're going to start out by talking about EverQuest 2. A majority of the things we talked about today on EverQuest 2 was all about the new expansion. I believe it was Altar of Malice.
Altar of Malice is
Altar of Malice, right here behind us. And it looks great. I mean, they're raising the level cap to level 100. They're also raising the crafting cap to level 100 also.
100 as well. Yep.
Which is good. They announced a new race. The race was like a winged bat race type of thing. It looked,
the Arrogance
yeah.
from the last couple of expansions.
It looked awesome. The new race is something I'm excited about. As you know, if you followed our EQ2 series, I always play the winged creatures, and now we've got a new one, so you know I'm excited about that. They also showed a lot of the new zones, Kithcore Forest.
Kithcore Forest is going to be a big thing with it, and they are going to do the whole, when it turns nighttime, that do come out, so you are going to have that bit of trepidation running through the forest at that point. They also said that, if I'm correct, they're going to take away map and compass features from you when it is nighttime, so you can't tell where you're going, where you're heading, that kind of thing.
They want to disorient you in this haunted mansion vibe with it, and I think that's just going to be fantastic.
Which I really hope they do it justice, because EQ1 with Kithcore Forest was very scary to go into, especially with some of the things that you needed to do with epics in there and that kind of stuff. I remember always running along the zone lines just to get, or the zone walls just to get to the other side. I really hope they do justice with this.
Me too, definitely. They also showed, I don't recall what it was called, but they showed a pirate city, which was awesome. It looked like it was built down through a chasm, and different balconies going up. It looked like something you'd see out of Pirates of the Caribbean, or something similar to that. It looked like no other city I've seen in the game.
It was very well done, with the bridges spanning between different sides of the buildings. It looked truly built from the ground, going straight up into the air as opposed to going out in a particular zone. So that'll be very interesting, seeing what you can do as you go from level to level as you go up.
Very much so. And then one of the dungeons they showed was actually from EverQuest 1.
Straw Temple, yes.
Yeah, that was on the moon. It was on Luckland.
It was on Luckland.
Has now fallen to Earth.
Yes.
Or fallen to Norath.
Yes.
And is upside down.
It is going to be upside down. And a couple of the devs were actually saying how much of a pain in the rear end that it was going to be to actually render the dungeon upside down and be able to make it a functional dungeon. Instead of actually having the snakes, the straw, actually inhabiting the dungeon, it's actually going to be the Keevans. If you remember, if you ever went through Vexball and EQ1, they will be inhabiting the dungeon.
Kind of weird that they'd be there, but I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. It looked gorgeous. They showed some video of it.
Fantastic.
And yeah, it looked really good. The designs were neat. It had this destroyed feel to it, but yet functional. You can still see the remnants of what was there before.
Yeah. I'm sure they're going to put in certain specific spots in that the temple that you're going to be able to oh yeah, I saw that in EQ1, but it's essentially going to be upside down. So there are going to be certain points that should jog some memories, but be completely new and completely different while being the same thing in EQ2.
Definitely some exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing more of those zones. The other big thing that they showed was, cut right here because I lost my train of thought.
Fair enough.
Okay, so what else do we have?
Isle of Refuge, that's going to be a big one.
Okay.
So one of the original starter zones, and then they're going to have a
Really low end.
Oh, and the mix too.
Yeah.
His idea.
Which one?
Yeah,
the level
Agnostic.
and I can go through that because I actually have how many growth zones, how many grade zones, stuff like that.
Okay, I'll let you talk about that.
Maybe
And I'll even give you credit for originally.
We'll go with the Isle of Refuge,
Yeah, we'll start that.
because that's going to be a big thing for a lot of
And
people.
that's the expansion base.
Yes.
And then
So
we'll-
there's going to be a player-based housing, and there's going to be an actual zone of the Isle of Refuge. Yes.
Okay. So another thing that they're adding in, which a lot of players are extremely excited about, is they're bringing back the Isle of Refuge.
They've been asking about it forever.
Yeah, they're bringing it back in a new way. So this is actually going to be where you first enter the new content, is the Isle of Refuge. And if you remember from the original EQ2, this is actually where new players started. So it's going to be changed. It's going to be damaged from what I saw.
Yeah, it's gonna be upgraded as well. The textures, the feel and everything. So it's gonna have a lot of very similar to the Straw Temple. It's gonna be very familiar but very different at the same time. With the Isle of Refuge also, it's not only going to be a playable zone, it's actually going to be a prestige house as well. And I believe that is the 11th,
10 or 11th?
10th or 11th, whatever we're at.
Yeah.
The vet reward bonus is you are going to get access to a prestige house of the Isle of Refuge.
It looked big too, and it looked awesome. They showed a picture of it.
They even said with that also that they're going to have inhabitants that you get as a pack that you can put into your house.
Some of the old NPCs.
Yes, that'll just come with the pack as well. So that's a big thing about the Isle of Refuge. I know there's going to be plenty of people out there that play EQ2 that have been screaming about it to get it back. We are going to have at least some variation of it, both from the prestige housing and an actual zone.
I'm excited about that. That should be a lot of fun. A little nostalgia kick. They're really good about bringing the nostalgia kick.
Nostalgia is going to be a biggest thing about EQ2. Any new game that you get, you don't get that nostalgia. With EQ2, you can pull also from EQ1 and also some of the old ones from EQ2 to get people to come back.
Very much so. And then there's a new thing they announced, which was called Level Agnostic Dungeons. This is a fantastic idea, an idea that actually started from a brainstorm of Xavier's here.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I actually pitched this to a dev, and since then, I've gone back and forth with him, and I'm sure there's been other people as well that have pitched the same idea. Basically, what it's going to be is you can go back to some of the dungeons that you played through, whether it's the Fallen, whether it's the Library of the Ruden, and they have a specific list to start, and I think they'll wind up expanding as they go. But if you're a level 95 player, you can actually go through to the level 15 player, let's say, or 20 or 30, and all go into the same dungeon at the same time, which is and then the mobs that are inside there are going to hit you if you're level 30, like if you're level 30. And so similar to a dungeon maker, just in the zones that in the past we have loved, and essentially it's been dead content for a long time. This is really going to help not only give something for the higher level players to go back and do and rewarded specifically not only on your level but also some other items that
they're still working that out.
Yeah, they're still working that out. I'm not going to say anything with that. But also, so you're going to, as a level 95 character, say, you know what, I'm going to go help the lower level tunes, which is going to help populate the lower levels to really help create any new players that come into the game. Is going to help them see that there are players, since this is such a top-heavy game, and anything from level 1 to essentially 95 is pretty barren. This is going to help go back and just help populate some of those zones, make it so it doesn't look so barren, even though at top level there's a lot of people playing.
I can definitely see this creating more of a community aspect. You're going to have new players playing with veteran players, people that are very passionate about the game. And not only will that help promote the game and get that new player really excited about the game, but it can also create lasting friendships because they're going to be asking questions of that veteran player. They're going to be asking for advice, especially if they're in a similar class or that veteran player has played that class before. You're going to find that almost mentor-like relationships can be formed by this. If I was a new player, I would latch onto that higher level player.
Absolutely.
And make friends. And this really allows it to almost automate the process. So the content's accessible for both people, everybody's getting a reward for it, and it really makes it worth it to reach out and connect with those other players.
New player retention is going to be the biggest thing, because anytime you get a game, and in this specific instance, it's 10 years of EverQuest 2, it dries up any new players that are coming to the game. Generally, any new player or anybody that's interested in the game have already played EverQuest 2. This is going to help any new players that do come in, or some of the older players that haven't played in a while, to be able to come in and group with other people, like you said, make lasting friendships, and hopefully retain them inside the game to build that lower population base, and then basically bolster the top end player base as well as they go through the process.
Exciting stuff. I'm very excited about that system. It's a fantastic idea, and I think it's really going to help this game in the long run.
Yeah, it absolutely will. There's a lot of people that have asked for something like this for a very long time. And one of the other things that go on with it, they were actually talking about redoing some public quests, getting some stuff out in the open world, where one of the issues with EQ2 is so many people are stuck in their guild halls, and then they go with their guilds, and then they go raid something, or they go group with something, and never stepping out into the world. Bringing back some public quests, and fixing some of the coding with the public quest of how people are related, should get more population out in the open world, which is obviously going to be great. Making it so as you go through zones, it's not going to be a dead place anymore. Similar to how Great Divide was with the public quest that they did. There always were tons of people out there.
Very cool. Yeah, lots of exciting stuff coming with EverQuest 2. 10 years in and still going strong, so very excited about that.
And as you said, with this Altered Mouse, with the expansion, level 100 is going to be the biggest thing. For a long time, the devs said we're not going to do level 100. Here we have level 100. With the expansion also, and I'm just going to look at my cheat sheet here, we're getting 14, that's 14 new heroic zones. At launch is what they said. So this doesn't include any stuff that they have later on in the expansion as well throughout the year. We're also looking at 6 raids, 6 advanced solo zones, 2 contested zones, 2 big overland zones is what they said, 4 new avatars, prestige abilities up to level 100. Obviously we talked about the Isle of Refuge. Level agnostic dungeons, which we just touched on. Grandmaster spells, which is kind of really interesting. Grandmaster spells is going to be obviously, right now all of our spells are stuck at master, and we have one ability of all our spells that we can choose to be Grandmaster. I believe it's 5 different choices for whatever level we're at. Well, now all of your spells can be Grandmaster. That's going to be a really big thing as well. Rare ancient spell scrolls, and I believe what they said was the spells space map, I think it was.
Yeah,
they didn't say it was actually going to be in the game. But anyway, you will get rare ancient spell scrolls that you'll actually be able to mim and use as well. Guild level 100,
yeah.
which is another big one. The Erican as a playable race, which we told, already said. Castle Highhold, which is one of the castles that are going to be in one of the new zones where it's the Far Seas Trading Company. That is their main base, which they've kind of gone silent, which is where we're going from here. Going to find out why the Far Seas Trading Company has kind of gone silent and disappeared from parts of the North after the fight with Carrick. Broken Skull Bay, so it is kind of a pirate thing. Zepith Loa, I hope I'm saying that right, is kind of
it was spelled really funky.
It's really kind of funky. Down there is kind of a journey to the center of the earth type feel, minus Brandon Fraser. However, there's going to be some dungeons down there, so it's going to be kind of new. There's some pygmy races that they're bringing in.
Dinosaurs
that they're going to have.
Eating the pygmies.
Kind of like Snap.
Yeah, they were really small.
Like yes, very small. And then also there was another race that was down there that was creating some havoc. That it's kind of hard to explain, but these people were very. They would mark themselves. They would.
They were brutal. They basically did self-mutilation. They're a cult is the best way to describe it, and the worshiping, not good stuff. So these guys, they looked like they had bones stuck through them. Open wounds, they looked creepy. And
very creepy, actually.
Their home base, which was a dungeon, I believe.
It was, yes.
Was cathedral-like, almost
made
necromancer.
Of bones. Made of bones.
Made
of
bones.
The walls, the columns, the altars, and stuff like that. It was actually really, really creepy.
It was.
It's going to be very interesting to see where they go.
It looked like an interesting group of mobs, and it looked like it would be a really interesting dungeon. How they're going to do the lore with it.
Yes.
I'm very interested to see how that cult works out. But it was a neat design for them, something I hadn't seen in a while, and they definitely didn't pull punches. They looked creepy the way they were mutilated.
They really did.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about H1Z1. Now, if you saw our video from yesterday, you can see I'm really excited about H1Z1.
Very excited.
I am pumped about H1Z1.
Yes.
So the thing they showed, the big reveal at the end of the presentation today was airdrops. Now, this is a great idea. Basically, a plane flies overhead, everybody can see it up in the air, and it drops a supply drop. A parachute comes down with a box, lands on the ground. Now, first thing you think of, go get the supply drop. But then you take it a moment. You're like, if I go get that supply drop, how many other people are going to be there? Am I going to walk away from that? Chances are, one person or one group is walking away from that alive.
And there's going to be groups that are going to go with
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be
you're
war.
solo, you're in trouble.
Yeah, this is going to be war. So the thought process is, and what they had said, is each player is going to have their own idea. Now, I'm going to see, for example, if I'm a little bit careful or skittish when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm going to see that, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to get away from that.
Just run away.
This is going to be death. But another player is going to look at it and go, oh man, this is the battle. That's where I want to be right
Opportunity.
now. Yeah, opportunity. Then there's a third player that might go, you know what? I'm going to sneak in, wait in the side, wait until there's a last person standing, jump them, get their item.
Absolutely.
All kinds of different possibilities. This is basically creating events, creating memories.
Yes.
That one box falling from the sky is going to create a war. And that's awesome.
It's going to set off a chain of events that doesn't only happen just as the box drops or right after the box drops. You're going to make friends, you're going to make enemies, you're going to attract zombies to certain areas that may not have had zombies before.
Battles can absolutely attract zombies.
Yeah, absolutely. Any noises are going to attract zombies. So what are not only the benefits, the positives, the negatives, the consequences of going towards that drop box for each individual person that sees the plane go overhead and the box being dropped?
I think it's a great idea. The second I saw it, the second I saw the plane, I'm like, man, the implications are amazing. What can come from that? It's going to be great. It really is.
They really are.
Each time that thing hits the ground, it's going to be a different adventure. And I think it's great. It's an easy thing to implement. It's going to result in a lot of fun. So more stuff like that, more innovation like that, I want to see it. Now, they did a lot of Q&A in this keynote. There wasn't a lot of new information aside from the airdrops. It was mainly just people asking the things that they wanted to know, being as this game is just kind of starting out, and we're just starting to get good information on it and see the game. These questions were great. One of the big questions that was asked, and everybody's got it on their mind, is this game just going to be player versus player? Do the zombies matter? A lot of other games in the survival genre, you find that the zombies are an afterthought. They don't really matter. They become so trivial and so easy to defeat that they don't matter.
It only matters what the other players are doing.
Right.
Yes.
It's all about player versus player, and there happens to be zombies. This game, they very much don't want that to be the case. They're saying the zombies are a huge part of it.
Yes.
And their main reason for that is because every action has consequences, more so than in other games, is what they're saying. So for example, I walk up, X is in the game, I see him, he's got a cool hat, I want the hat.
Okay? You can't have that.
So I come up, sneak up on him, shoot him in the head with an arrow or a gun, loot his hat. Okay? Well, that gunshot just got the attention of a lot of zombies. Bears, wolves, anything that might be in the area.
Anything that takes interest to sound in a specific area. Other players.
Yeah, other players is another example.
Yes.
I just became the prey instead of the predator. Do I want to give away my location? Am I really prepared for that?
Is the hat that worth it?
There are consequences for that action. And if you watched my footage from yesterday once again, you saw those zombies don't go down as easy as some of the other games.
And those were just the basic zombies.
Those were just the
There's
basic
going to
zombies.
be different levels of zombies, different speeds,
Yeah, different
do they
types.
run, do they walk, do they shamble? It's going to be all of them.
Some of them might even have abilities we haven't really heard yet. They didn't give a lot of details on that. But they did say that some of them you'll be able to tell the difference based off a silhouette, and some of them you won't know until you're on them.
Yes.
And that's also, variety is always a good thing. That's great.
Yes.
Another question that ties into this was, do the zombies drop loot? And somebody actually asked it on our video yesterday if the zombies drop loot. The answer to that is yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
The loot they stole from the player they killed. And the cool thing about that is, think about it. So a zombie kills a player had a machete. Zombie's now got a machete. From what I understand, the zombie can equip that machete, and that zombie's just a whole nother threat. So
It's kinda scary, actually.
it is very scary. Now, obviously, I couldn't imagine they were going to be able to use guns and stuff like that, but it definitely is a different level of fear and a different level of threat from those zombies. But yet, if I see a zombie with a machete, I want the machete. I'm going to go get that zombie. All of a sudden, there's a risk versus reward again. Just like the air supply drops, is it worth that fight? Can I do that fight? Do I need to ask for help? You know? A lot to that. A lot of cool stuff.
Do I really want to attract the attention to the specific area that I'm at?
Exactly.
Just for a machete or a hat.
So one of the big things they talked about was how they're going to utilize early access on Steam. So the good thing about this is they're taking a nice basic groundwork for the game, and then they're adding in things as it goes. They're going to listen to the community, they're going to find out exactly what works, what doesn't. Instead of adding in all these extra features and UI elements and all these added layers that might not be needed, they're going to start from scratch, base fun game, and then add things in as they're requested.
Very vanilla is I believe how they put it.
Yeah, which I think is great because you might think something's needed until you don't have it, and then you find you never use it. So it's better to need something or want something, knowing there's a need for it, and then have it designed than design something that ends up being useless. They never needed it in the first place.
Right.
So as long as the core game is there and the fun is present, then all the other things can be added. Now, one of the other things they talked about, and someone had asked about this, was item synergy. And I think this is very important. So the example he gave was if he crafts gas in a gas can. Obviously, it's for a car, so you can fuel a car. But what happens if he wants to dump that on something and light it on fire? Will it catch the tree on fire? Can he do that? Can you do logical, real-world combinations of items in the game? Will they work? And the answer was probably not at the beginning of early access. It's just going to be a basic groundwork, but that's something they absolutely want to do. So they're going to be adding that in. John Smedley apparently constantly says that he wants the game to go deeper. That make the base game and then take it deeper and deeper and deeper. The deeper the game concept and the deeper the game feels, the better it's going to be and the more involved and attached to the game you're going to be. And that's huge.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big things about the early access with Steam, is that you're going to find different things that you need or want to be able to do in the game, and then give that feedback to them where then they can go and make that a reality for you. Specifically for got a gas, got a can, got a match, want to blow this up as opposed to just fueling the car.
Right.
So that's one of the great things about the early access. You're going to be able to find things and come up with things that the dev base may not have thought of, may not have had a chance to come across needing to use something like that. And that's where the player base is going to be a huge part of.
Yeah, another good example of that is, say you have a rocket launcher. I don't know if there's rocket launchers in the game, but just an example. Say you've got a rocket launcher, you blow a car up. Nothing is damaged around it. Nothing catches fire, nothing is affected. Well, you didn't really think about that until it happened. And then you go on the forums or you go to whatever bug report there might be and you say, hey, I did this. This is what I expected to happen. This is what happened. It gets that conversation started with the devs.
Correct.
And they really dig in and see what they can do, what they want to do to make it more realistic. And that's where early access comes in. They want you to speak up, say what you see and what you're observing is good and bad, and let them start those conversations, feed their conversations. It's only going to make it better.
Yeah, the feel that I got from the devs was they sincerely wanted ideas and your thoughts, because again, and you look at a conglomeration of players is 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 different players are all going to come up with unique situations on their own that the 10, 15 devs, testers, stuff like that aren't going to come up with at any point during their playtime. So they sincerely want feedback from the player base to be able to make not just an SOE game so much as our game to play.
Really community-driven game now, and community-driven development, which is awesome. Now, they had also mentioned that in the early access, it's going to be the hardcore mode of the game.
Yes.
There will not be a PvE server set or anything like that at the beginning. It is going to be turned up to hardcore. It's going to be difficult, you die, you're looted, all that stuff. Someone did actually ask about cosmetic items. What happens if you purchase something cosmetic from the store and then die? Can someone loot it from you? And do you lose it? And the answer I thought was very, very unique. I thought it was a good idea. The way it works is once you die, they can absolutely loot that item from you. It's going to be at a lower durability, depending on how many times you died with that item, but the player will not lose that item. So, for example, say I have the SOE Live beanie that you get for coming to SOE Live. I die. Well, the guy saw the beanie on me. Maybe that's why he killed me. He wanted it. He can loot that. He has that beanie. I don't actually lose that. Now, he gets a version of it that's going to break down quicker. But you know what? That's a great meet in the middle.
It really is. Because you're still going to, especially if something's bought in the store or something like that, you are not going to lose that item.
That's very important.
Which was going to be a big thing for just as you said, you buy something on the station store, there needs to be, somebody needs to be able to take that from you, but you should not have to lose it either.
Yeah. The rules of the game should stay intact, but if you paid real money for something, it should stay.
Yeah, it should be yours.
They made it very clear, and I will say this now, you will not be buying weapons on the store. Possibly weapon skins, but you will not be buying weapons. So you won't be getting an axe that doesn't break down, for example. That's not going to happen.
No pay to win.
They are very against pay
Yes.
to win, and I think that's very important in a game of this type where survival of the fittest is so important. Pay to win is a huge enemy, even more so than normal.
Absolutely.
And they are absolutely against pay to win, and they put a definitive stop on any conversation on that, which is good. So overall, I think H1Z1 is looking to be a great game. Obviously, we're early. We're not in early access yet. We're early in development. But from what I've seen and listening to the devs chat about this, I really think they have the right idea. They are building things into the game that are more about community and grouping and giving you a reason to find an adventure, giving you a reason to make a memory, not just running around doing the same thing all day. And I think that's hugely important with this type of game. It's not going to get old too quickly.
Yes.
And they are also going to keep adding to the game, new crafting recipes, variations, you know, building with groups and all that stuff. It's just fantastic.
An old recipe that you may use a couple months down the line, you may have to be different with it. For instance, the gas can. You crafted it a certain way. Well, now all of a sudden, because maybe certain elements aren't available or anything like that, you have to learn a new way to craft said gas can to be able to still use it.
Right.
So it is going to be changing. They said they're going to be adding stuff as you go. So it's not 3 months down the line, you've survived and now you're bored. There's always going to be an ever-changing portion of the world. The other thing that I thought, and I don't think we touched on yet, is guild system and stuff like that.
Yeah, I touched a little bit on it where they're not implementing the full systems until they've tested to see what's needed, but that was a direct question that was asked.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yes. And they said there are consequences to being in large conglomeration of people. The more people you have around you, the more of a setup that you have, or you're building even like a small town type of thing. There's going to be consequences that A, other players are going to either want to A, in on that, or B, take what you have.
Yeah.
But the more people that you have also make more noise. Making more noise brings more zombies. More zombies are going to create more problems.
Right.
So there's going to be pluses and minuses to being in big groups. So it's going to add a different dynamic to see how they go with that. What you can build as cities, as tents, as guilds.
Yeah, they
whatever
were
they call it.
very quick to specify that they're very much against one or two groups running a server.
Yes. Yeah.
That
Very
they
adamant.
want the game to be dynamic enough where that power shifts like it would in reality.
Sure.
Where if you band together, that's good, but there's consequences. If you're solo, there's consequences, but it can also be good. There are pros and cons to everything in the game.
Absolutely.
And I think that that will drive people to, one, play the way they want to play, which is important, but it'll also drive people to be dynamic. So they might not react the way you think they would react, and they're going to learn from their mistakes. You know?
Yes. We hope.
And that's
We'll see.
that's great. So that just leads to a potential, I think, that's there. That could be great. Okay, so the game I saw that I was super looking forward to was EverQuest Next. And
Yes.
ever since I first saw it announced, I was extremely excited about it. I will say that the progress they've made from last year to this year is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's huge in graphical fidelity. It's huge in the details. It's really big. The cartoonish aspect of the characters, while they're still going for that toon aspect, it is really meeting in the middle right now.
It's a little more gritty
It really
than it
is.
was. It was a huge turnout to me last year when they announced EQ2. The very cartoony nature of the characters. So much to the point where I walked out and I was like, I'm not going to play it. I can't play it. Won't play it, not if it looks like this.
There were a lot of people asking questions, putting the devs on defensive, that why would you possibly do this? What was the point of making it look like this? And I can't help but feel that they listened. While they defended their decisions last year at SOE Live, I do believe they listened. And what you have, what you end up with, is something in the middle of what we originally had, and a more realistic, like EverQuest 2 approach. You're stuck in the middle, where it still has that same design and that same vision they originally had, but they've really advanced it to a point where it just looks a lot better.
A lot better, to the point where I went from one side of the fence to being, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to play it. I was so adamantly against it, I'm not even going to pick up the game at all. And if anybody knows me, I'm very pro EQ and pretty much everything. To being completely turned off to being very, very excited about it, to a point where I can't wait for it to come out and see it.
Yeah, it's a big deal. They made huge leaps and bounds, and I think it's important. The other thing is last year, obviously they were really early development. And they showed us like movement systems, character models. We didn't really get a lot. We got a lot of concept ideas with the emergent AI, the story bricks, the destructible environment, things like that. But we didn't really get any meat. Now, this year, not only did they introduce a new race with the Dark Elves, which looked awesome, by the way.
Dark Elves look fantastic.
They really do. But they brought combat in. And let me tell you, seeing the combat in this game is huge. Because not only is it different than traditional EverQuest games, but I think it's different in a good way.
Very, very different in that I think there's, well, and they specifically said this, your actions or how you press the buttons is going to directly affect how good you are as a character.
Yeah,
It's
this is not a button mash.
It is not a button mash. You can't just press buttons and win.
Yeah, your placement, your orientation, where you are compared to the other person. I could almost compare it to fighting games, with anybody that's viewing that has any experience with fighting games. The whole idea of footsies, where you need to know where they're going to be, where they're going to go, and react to that, especially PvP environments. I can just see this working. The look of combat looks amazing.
Looks very good.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Very action-oriented, very fast-paced. This person does this person flies by, just reacting to each other's
counters
moves.
and recounters.
It's like a giant fast chess game. It was amazing.
Pretty much. That's actually a really good way to look at it.
Yeah, and the feel of it. With the graphics they have in now, which obviously aren't final, but with the graphics they're utilizing now, and the feel of the actual, they showed quite a few combat abilities. With the actual feel of the combat abilities for the 4 or 5 classes we saw.
What did we see? We saw Cleric, we saw Warrior, we saw
The
Elementalist.
Yeah, Elementalist,
and
Tempest.
And Tempest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each one of them played very, very different. And the distinct aspect of the way the class plays, I think, is huge. The Tempest was very movement-based, flying all over the map, kind of lightning-like, very placement-based and rushing your opponent. The Warrior obviously was very possessive of his environment. I think he was referred to as the Kool-Aid Man.
As the Kool-Aid Man.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
That was more Randy Moxman Savage there, but you know.
The concept of, just jumping in and making damage. The Cleric, which I did not see coming. It's more of a battle cleric.
It is a true battle cleric.
And while there was healing and protection and rescuing being done by that character, it was also DPS being done by that character.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was very aggressive. You were in the action. And that was great too. I love the way they did the cleric. And I think the healers are going to be very happy to be very active, but yet still be the responsible party for the healing. And then the Elementalist has a lot of locking people in place, a lot of area of effect type things that's static. They stay in place like a pillar of flame, and really utilizing your synergies together to stop them. Very different play styles, but yet they showed us some of them playing together. Like for example, the
and how it
Elementalist.
works together.
Yeah, the Elementalist throws someone in place, then the Warrior jumps in and whirlwinds out, knocks a hole in the ground. Anything that really works together like that is awesome. They showed us a couple PvP interactions that looked great. One guy anticipates what's going to happen, steps out of the way of the ability, and this whole back and forth and chess game happened. It was great.
And it really tips the scales of who has the upper hand. And one of the ones that we particularly saw, let's see here, I believe it was the Warrior, the Warrior against the Cleric.
Yeah, the Warrior Cleric. That was a great
So
example.
the Warrior drops down. Cleric doesn't even know he's there because he's out off healing his friends, kind of controlling the battle over here. And here comes this Warrior, comes up, kind of surprises the Cleric, and the Cleric counters moves that the Warrior does because the Warrior wants to be really in close and tight, moves away from the battle, pretty much beats the crap out of the Warrior,
locks him down.
and then the Warrior runs away because he's pretty much lost.
It really looked like a rock, paper, scissors match, but everybody had an option that they can do. It wasn't like one was overpowered and the other one had no way out. There were options for each person. They just had to think on their feet. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're quite a ways out. I assume we didn't get any release date or anything.
I was hoping for a playable demo. They had said last year that they were going to have one. We haven't seen it yet. Might have to push for that.
Yeah, I was very happy to see what we saw, but a playable demo would have been awesome.
Yes.
The class system is very unique in the way they're doing it. I like it though. I like the concept. We didn't get a lot of detail, but the way it works is there's going to be a small handful of classes to choose at the beginning. All the other classes are earned in the game. So for example, say you want to be an Elementalist. So you're going to go to this group that's wandering, talk to the guy. He's going to go, how about you do these quests for me? Come over here, you know, dynamic content. You're going to help him out, and then at the end he's going to go, hey, you know what? Let me teach you my skill set. Do you want to learn my skill set? And then at that point, you can choose to be that class, or you can choose to have that as a subclass, which they announced are doing subclasses.
Yeah.
And there's, I think there's 40 classes.
40 classes altogether.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's going to be a lot.
So obviously some will be harder to get than others, and some will be starter, but that is a lot of variety. And it's not just 40 classes, it's 40 classes with combinations of multiple classes, so you're looking at a large variety of what you can be. I mean, warrior cleric, warrior elementalist, you know, you get the point. And it's a lot of variation, means a lot of customability. And with the game focusing on a small amount of abilities, I think eight abilities, I believe. Probably to be able to map to a controller is my guess. But with it focusing on abilities, you're going to want that Guild Wars-like way of customizing your character.
Yes.
Where you build a kit of abilities that synergize really well together, and you want to try things out and play with stuff. And, you know, let me try putting the Elementalist in here with my Cleric and see how that works out, and mix the abilities together. And
really fit your play style.
Yes.
You know, what's going to work for you as a warrior cleric may not work for me as a warrior cleric.
That's very true.
And so you're going to see very distinct, similar classes, but also have enough differences where it's going to feel very different and look very different, going to bring different things to a group differently. So very excited to see where they go with that, how it happens.
Very much so. The entire development process for EverQuest Next and Landmark for that way, it's a really cool way that they're doing it. The whole concept of the roadmap system and their transparency, even with their business model, is fantastic. And you can tell that they're really listening to the crowd and they're listening to the people on the forums. Yep. It's very player-driven. Just down to the fact that they showed us the Dark Elf City full of created items from Player Studio in Landmark. You're literally looking at a city that fits perfectly together, made by like 30 people. Yeah. It was amazing. It really shows that their systems are coming together and that this game is by the people for the people. And that's huge. I can't ask for anything else than that. No. I feel like we're being heard, especially from the drastic difference from last year to this year.
Very drastic, yeah, very drastic in the changes. I do believe they heard what people said, and they've altered it, altered their course. And then they said from the beginning that it's not just their game, it's our game, it's everybody's game. And so far they've showed it.
Yeah, no release date, no hint of a release date at this point for EQ Next or H1Z1 for that matter.
They specifically said with H1Z1, we will get it out when it is ready to be put out.
We know when the EverQuest 2 expansion comes out, which is 11/11.
11/11. Yep.
But that is the only release date we got, so not really sure on a whole lot. When it comes to DC Universe Online and it comes to Dragon's Prophet, we didn't really get a lot of info on those two games because of the times of the panel. I know that DC Universe Online announced a whole new power set, some enhancements to PvP, and some new Legends PvP people, characters and such, which is awesome. And then I do not know what they announced at Dragon's Prophet. We didn't get to go down there. Hopefully I'll get to talk to someone tomorrow and get some more info for Dragon's Prophet if anybody's interested. If you have any questions that you'd like me to find a dev and ask, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll be checking it all day tomorrow, and I'm going to be here for the next 2 days. So I can easily get to someone and ask those questions. If there's something that's just burning a hole that you want to know, here's your chance. Direct line to the devs. That's what SOE Live's all about. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate all of it. And from here at SOE Live, Hikaro and Xaveir signing off. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.